things, it is separate, isn't it? You're not authorised by the Scriptures to take congregational action unless it is a confession or there are two credible witnesses.
Yes.
That's the position, just to be clear.
It is a position, yes.
You just changed that in your previous answer. See, isn't it the situation that you are reluctant, aren't you, to make findings of such a nature against a brother who holds a senior position within the congregation?
No. Why would we try and hide him from...
Well, isn't it the case that within the Jehovah's Witness faith, you are of the belief that ministerial servants and elders are appointed by the Holy Spirit? Isn't that the case?
Correct.
And that the ministerial servant, that BCH was a ministerial servant?
Yes, he was.
And he was a person, therefore, who was regarded within the congregation as someone to be looked at highly?
No, we don't see it as highly.
Well, don't you see that appointments by the Holy Spirit is a rather special position within the congregation?
It's more of a slave than a position. It's not as if we hold some dignified role or dress differently or whatever. We're there to work, you could say, as shepherds, to try and care for their needs and to help them.
All right, just coming back to the appointment process, the appointment process, you believe, is that those positions you are appointed to those positions by the Holy Spirit. Isn't that the case?
One has to go through a process of defining that. One has to have the qualities first, so it may take some time for them to demonstrate that first, before they're recommended to that.
That's right. So once they're recommended by the Holy Spirit, and it is really that, isn't it, by an appointment by the Holy Spirit.
Well, we, in the congregation, we recommend that person be appointed. We send that recommendation to the branch. They look at that situation. They pray over it. They look at the whole record and they decide when that person is appointed or not. We, in a local atmosphere, don't do that.
Did you have any involvement in the appointment of recommendations or appointment of BCH at all?
No.
But you would agree, wouldn't you, that to find out that a brother had in fact a person who was appointed by the Holy Spirit as a ministerial servant would call into question your process somewhat, wouldn't it?
No, I don't see why. What we need to do then as elders, and there's usually a body that's involved in the congregation, is monitor even each other. If one of those appointed men is displaying a particular sin or a weakness in a certain regard, that help will be given before he reaches a time before he can't be turned back. But if he continues in that course, then we can recommend his removal.
But it does, you would agree though, wouldn't you, that it calls into question how people are appointed to these particular positions, that it calls into question the process or the rigour of the process, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
That people are appointed incorrectly.
No. No, it doesn't happen that way. We need to follow the guidelines that the Scriptures provide. For example, in the letters to Timothy, there is a whole list of things that those who do the appointments would go through, and the elders who go through that process would need to look at.
See, I want to suggest to you that the purpose of the committee or the interrogation, and I'd like to call it an interrogation, of BCG during the committee process is partly designed to test her against a person who is considered to be an esteemed member of your congregation.
I didn't quite understand what you meant by that.
The process of interrogation was I'll rephrase it, is to protect in a way or to ensure that, it's to protect the members, the elders and the ministerial servants of your congregation.
Why would we want to do that, if I may ask?
Well, that is because it's the case, isn't it, that women should be subjective to men in your religion, shouldn't they? They should defer to men.
They're directed by the Bible and its principles to act on a role that he has qualified for them. It doesn't mean subjection in a sense of do as I say.
It means to defer to men, doesn't it?
It defers to the authority of certain men, yes.
Okay. When you said that yesterday that BCG was very brave in the committee meetings, what did you observe about her that made you conclude that she was brave?
It's not an easy reading our articles and the direction from the branch on those things, and there are weights and watchtowers that acquaint us with the pain that a person and the suffering that a person goes through and how they may feel. And even as a father, one would imagine my own daughter, who was about the same age as BCG, to be able to stand up and tell the elders how she felt. It wouldn't have been easy at all for her. As a father, I felt for her, and I could see that she took her time. We encouraged her to just relax, take her time, no matter how long it took. That as long as she felt comfortable with telling us, because she wanted to explain what had happened to her. And I believe we did that. We wanted to allow her that time, but I felt that she had courage to be able to do that, to explain those feelings and the hurt and the pain and every detail that she went through and what her father did to her, which I guess brought out in me certain feelings of anger, perhaps.
Anger towards the BCH?
Towards him, yes.
But yet you chose not to do anything about it.
Well, my own feelings put aside, I still need to deal on a rational basis, keeping those feelings and knowing what she was going through. These are serious. One cannot ignore that. I know I spent some sleepless nights with knowing things like that afterwards as we dealt with her case.
You mentioned that in your statement, that you spent some sleepless nights, but none of that translated into any action to give BCG any support, did it?
No, it did. It did, because the other two brothers who were closer as a family were doing everything to house and protect her. There was a neighbour that lived close to the family that also took her in.
See, I want to suggest to you that she wasn't immediately removed from the environment in which she had been abused, was she? And I'm suggesting to you that also her father had ready access to her.
My understanding at the time that it was very, very quick, though, that was given very, very quickly. And
I also want to suggest to you, well, it's quite clear, isn't it? The young children weren't removed. The other sisters weren't removed from access to the father where he might further abuse them, were they?
They weren't removed, no.
No steps were taken, in fact, were they?
No. Sorry?
And no steps were taken to protect either BCG or any of her sisters?
Well, I wouldn't say that, because now the mother also was involved, and what we normally do, if things progress very quickly to that, is to make her know that these things have taken place and to make some steps about protecting her children as well. Again, even she had the right to go to the police about what her daughter had gone through against her husband, if she so desired.
You were aware that BCG's mother, in fact, was aware of the abuse, had been aware of the abuse for some time, weren't you?
She may have been, yes.
But she took no steps to protect her children, notwithstanding her knowledge of the abuse.
Possibly, and that's a pity if she did that.
So you were aware of that at the time, weren't you?
But yes, but it was still an unsubstantiated. We needed to still follow through to prove that that's what he did to other children. But as my memory recalls, we took the steps that were open to us to try and acquaint them of that danger.
Wouldn't you view going to the police as a system that would in fact assist you with ministering your faith? In this way, I want to suggest to you that if you had gone to the police, wouldn't it have been the case that they would have been able to properly investigate the nature and extent of the crime that was alleged? And
that's why the abuser, the abused, or anybody in that family had the right to do so.
But wouldn't it have been in your interest, wouldn't it enabled you to better attend to the spiritual needs of both the accused and the accuser if you have had some other system which would have enabled you to have a better understanding of the nature of the crime that you were dealing with?
And I think we have that now.
Yes.
But we have that help. Yes. But back then in 1988, 89, such was the case where we felt we took the appropriate steps, and you mentioned the police. That was a right that the family could follow through on. And we dignified that right. I mean, would we be stepping out of line? What if the person then didn't want that?
The situation is that the whole process of the committees has nothing to do with protecting a victim, does it?
The interest of?
The process of the committee, it has nothing to do with protecting the victim of a crime, whether it's sex abuse or any other crime, does it?
That's incorrect.
Because isn't the primary purpose of your committee is to restore, in every situation where guilt is established, the primary endeavour of the overseers is to restore the wrongdoer. Isn't that what it's all about? It's really about restoring the wrongdoer to come back to Jehovah, isn't it?
We would like that to happen, but we also need to read the rest of that where it says if a person does not have that intention, does not care to, then that they will be dealt with.
But the point of my question is this: isn't it the case that it has nothing to do with support or finding justice for a person who has been abused, for example? The process has nothing to do with that, does it?
Of course it has. It's all part and parcel of finding facts and proving that, and then allowing that individual to follow through with any authority that he or she chooses to. But it's not within our capability or authority to override that and say, I will do that, I don't care what you say. That would be up to that person to follow through with that course. That's my understanding.
You would have to concede, though, wouldn't you, that you are completely ill-equipped as an organisation to protect victims such as BCG?
I disagree.
In what ways do you say you are equipped to assist them?
Because we have the directions through our publications, through letters, through the schools that we attend every 2 years. We have visiting brothers or representatives called circuit overseers. We had district overseers who would visit either every 6 months and so forth, that we could discuss further or ring at any time if we needed to some little clarification on whatever we needed to do. So we had all the helps that were available to understand and follow through on the guidelines that we had at that time.
You talk about follow through, but you don't actually say what you actually do. Because I want to suggest to you that at no stage did anybody from your congregation even try to assist BCG by giving her some spiritual guidance through the scriptures, by talking to her about the scriptures, how she might feel better about herself after her abuse. No one did that.
There was a lot of follow-up.
Well,
after what she went through, there was a lot of follow-up. There was a lot of interaction with certain families, and you will find that once Kevin or Ron are here, you'll probably, because they were closer, I know that they did follow through with visiting and supporting her in every way, even with any activities that came from after that.
You personally did not and have no personal or direct knowledge of her being given any guidance through the scriptures, do you?
Yes.
You were never present when she was given any guidance by the scriptures, were you?
I think the notes probably in the next meeting that we had, there were many articles I think that were quoted that suggest that.
Outside of the committee meetings, there was no guidance given to her from the scriptures, was there?
I can't recall myself doing that, no.
And at no stage did you ever tell her that you believed her, did you? That you believed that what she said about the allegation against her father was true?
I don't recall ever saying I don't believe her.
No, my question was, you never told her that you believed her, did you?
I can't recall that, but...
No. You never told her that you thought she was brave for coming forward, did you?
I thought I did. I believed I did.
Did you ever tell her that it wasn't her fault?
Of course. It's something that she is a victim.
Well, I'm suggesting to you that at no stage did you ever say to her it was not your fault.
I believe we did.
See, were you aware of the gossip that was going around at the particular time where people were in the congregation were accusing her of lying?
No.
So you weren't aware of that in your small congregation?
That others were accusing her?
Yes, there was gossip about her, that she had been telling lies.
I can't recall that, no.
Excuse me, I'll be a minute. After that she attempted to commit suicide, obviously that would have alerted you to the extreme distress that she was experiencing. You are aware that she attempted suicide some months.
I can't recall that.
You can't recall
no.
that. So you certainly don't then recall giving her any comfort or guidance after that incident.
I can't recall myself personally being involved in that. The other brothers, of course, did because their families worked closer.
Well, you don't have any recollection and you don't know what your other brothers did in relation to that, do you?
Yes, I do.
Well, you just said a moment ago that you didn't even know that it had occurred.
No, but I know that the support that they gave her and the comfort too of taking her into their homes.
Excuse me for a moment, Your Honour. During the committee process, there was a period where you all individually questioned her separately. Do you recall doing that with BCG?
No, we're all together.
Do you recall... So I'm suggesting that there was a period, wasn't there, that you were all separately had the opportunity to question her without the others?
No. No, that didn't happen. Our judicial meetings are always together, the three elders, whoever they may be. That is the process.
You were testing her for inconsistencies, though, weren't you, when you were conducting your inquiry?
Can you give an example of that?
I'm just asking you, you were testing her for inconsistencies by asking her repeatedly to tell her story?
No. If we needed to clarify something and put that in place so that we could better understand, that would be the only occasions that we would ask that particular question, but not, we wouldn't ask repeatedly if we already knew that it happened. Why there would be no sense of us doing that.
But you would agree, anyway, in the event that through seeking clarification, you were satisfied then that whatever she said, that her story was a consistent story and that it was a believable story?
Yes, we wanted to now ensure that, so that if we needed to follow up with the father, that we had some of what happened in detail, so that we could then follow through with that too. But never to question BCG on her, whether we believed her or not. That would be not correct.
Do you still have your notes in front of you that you had made of those meetings, the handwritten notes?
Handwritten notes of the meeting, yes.
Can you please turn to page 5 of those notes?
Yes.
If you could please turn to the bottom of page 5, do you see there that it says this, that there is it has BCH, BCG and BCI. So obviously that was relates to BCG and both her parents.
Okay, yes.
If you look down, it says that when faced and his accusations, he denies all at this point. Mm-hmm. Then he says all or part of parental training, and yes, kissed on mouth and hugged tightly, but that's all.
Mm-hmm.
So did you counsel him about the appropriateness of that sort of parental training?
Well, some cultures do that.
So kissing on the mouth and hugging in a way that clearly BCG considered to be inappropriate and frightening to her, you consider that to be appropriate? Not with everybody.
Not with everybody. To explain, I'm an Albanian by birth. My parents were Albanian, so they're from Europe. There is cultures there where children and parents do kiss as such. It means affection, and it is taken as such, and that's why, in answer to you, that even here within our own area, Australia, country of Australia, we have cultures who do follow through that. He was a person of Hungarian.
In Queensland, or in Australia, would you not consider that such a kissing of the mouth in a manner that was clearly constituted an affront to the person being kissed would constitute some kind of an indecent assault?
I would that now, yes, that would be considered by many as that, yes.
And
Ms.
that was...
Ms. David, I think we must take them all together.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, Dr. Jason Morrison, theologist again. I just want to say thank you for watching the videos, and I hope you got plenty of self-rediscovery and freedom out of it. If you watched it on YouTube, please share or like, maybe even comment. If you watched it on Facebook, like, comment, share. But most of all, get out and live. This isn't a rehearsal. You've got a one-off life. Don't let your loyalty and your faithfulness blind you to the life that you should be experiencing. Till the next video, thank you for watching, and bye for now.